number of amino acids that help also to maintain our muscles. So those are what we can recommend depending on what the person is trying to achieve with their protein supplementation. Neolife Shake, sports protein shake, as well as amidon. You can choose between sports protein shake if it was not clear whether it was a sports person. If it's a sports person, you can opt for sports protein shake. If it is simply someone who wants to have more protein in their diet, maybe because they have been ill and are in recovery and so on, the Neolife Shake is also a good choice. The next question was about type 2 diabetes, which I've actually been speaking about just now. In fact, if we have time, there was also a question about type 1 diabetes. But the question I have here is for type 2 diabetes. And here are some points to introduce. First of all, that you have to minimize refined carbohydrates from your diet, and also in general reduce the amount of carbohydrates you are taking, because once you have type 2 diabetes, it means that your system for metabolizing carbohydrates is under pressure. So try to reduce, and as you reduce, choose better quality ones which have not been refined or which are refined to a very small extent. So there are many foods of this type. You have got many types of roots, vegetables and foods like yams. You have things like arrowroots. You have various other things, cassava and so on, which have not been milled. If you continue to use grain, use whole grain. And I will recommend here that you don't opt for whole grain flour, because the margin of error for whole grain flour is very large. The manufacturers are allowed to say that it's whole grain even when they've got a very small amount of whole grain that is added to refined grain. So rather than doing that, use the foods that have as their ingredients grains that you can actually see, things like legumes, things like let's say whole maize and refined rice and so on. But remember, you need to reduce the quantity also. Another point is to incorporate gentle exercise in the lifestyle. For example, you can take a gentle walk after your main meal of the day, your largest meal of the day, because this helps the cell to deal better with the inflow of food that you have taken. In addition to that, just to let you know that we usually do have a session for just type 2 diabetes, because as you are probably aware, it's an illness that is becoming more and more prevalent in our environment. Neolife, again, has got excellent supplements to help you with resolving type 2 diabetes. And indeed, you can resolve and turn back type 2 diabetes. But remember, since you have the illness, it means that you have got a predisposition to have this issue. Therefore, the new habits that you start have got to be lifelong. Them, yes, for a period, and once they help you fiber tablets, or if you have it in your market, we also have multi-fiber blend. If your budget allows it, you can use ProVitality, which already contains Treanen. So instead of Treanen, you can also opt for ProVitality, which gives you a good range of supplements to improve your health. It will also have something like omega-3 salmon oil in it when you're using ProVitality. But if you're on a tight budget, I would say Botanical Balance, Treanen, and fiber tablets. The fiber tablets are going to supplement the fiber that you'll be getting from your diet. And especially if you tend to struggle with some of the foods which have a lot of fiber, then I find that fiber tablets are composed in such a way that they will help you to increase your amount of fiber with a minimum of issues, such as maybe you'd get from eating beans and so on. The next question, someone wanted to know what to recommend recommend for a young woman who is not having menses. And here again, my first recommendation would be to see a gynecologist in case there's an underlying issue. We always want to be well informed about what is going on and what is causing the issue so that we can make the correct recommendation. So do see a gynecologist. Probably the person has already seen a gynecologist and was not able to get a clear diagnosis, but that would be my first recommendation. And the supplements I recommend will be general ones to help with hormonal issues and nutritional issues. So the first will be Herbal Feminine Complex, which will help to balance hormones. The next will be chelated zinc, which will help with the hormone production, the production of the hormones themselves. And also I would recommend Pro Vitality, which is going to ensure that they have got a good baseline of nutrition in their diet. So the Pro Vitality will generally help to increase and improve the quality of their nutrition. So do see a gynecologist if you have not yet. And supplements we can recommend would be those ones: Herbal Feminine Complex, Chelated Zinc, and Pro Vitality. The next question was one also which required more information. So the person wanted to know what to recommend for an enlarged heart. So enlarged that is actually interfering with lungs and therefore interfering with breathing. So here again, the first recommendation is to see a cardiologist. I suppose that since they know that their heart is enlarged, they've already been investigated, and maybe it's not clear what is causing the enlargement of the heart. I know that certain conditions, including sickle cell anemia, struggling to work very hard, and the muscles might become enlarged in those cases. So the supplements we are going to recommend will be coenzyme Q10, which helps with heartbeat. We also recommend omega-3 salmon oil, which is one of our supplements that helps with heart and blood vessel health. We recommend also magnesium complex and lipotropic adjunct. So coenzyme Q10, omega-3 plus, magnesium complex, and lipotropic adjunct. The next question was someone inquiring about what to recommend for a joint replacement. So one was knee replacement, there was a hip replacement. So these days we have an opportunity to get a joint replacement if a joint is heavily damaged. However, of course, once you have had a joint replaced, it is important to follow the doctor's instructions as well as the physiotherapist's instructions. Sometimes people get impatient and don't see the physiotherapist for the required length of session. I think that would be a mistake. Do see your physiotherapist so they can help you to learn to move the new joint correctly and well. And the supplements we recommend will be generally to help continue with the recovery process. And this will be vitamin C, vitamin A plus D, as well as full motion. Vitamin A plus D, as you might be aware, as well as vitamin D, are useful in helping in the absorption of calcium. And calcium is important for our skeletal health. Full motion helps in the building of cartilage. So if you have had a joint replacement, full motion will also assist in the health of that joint. Before I leave that point about joint replacement, I just want to caution all of us who are having joint issues that the joints which are the new joints which are given to us in joint replacement do not have the lifelong quality that the joints with which we are born have. So they may not work as well and they may not last as long. So do try to incorporate lifestyle that is going to support your movement and joint health, so that if you need a joint replacement, whether it's a hip replacement or a knee replacement, it should be when you're an older person, so that that joint can last you for the remainder of your life. If it's still a very young person, if it is possible to avoid, then do try to look for other options. But of course, there are cases where, as a result of accidents, injuries, or maybe issues with which we are born, we may need a joint to be replaced. But for those where it's as a result of lifestyle-related issues, we should do our best to protect our joints, because if we look after them well, they actually can serve us for an entire lifetime. But if we succumb to unhealthy lifestyle habits, such as a sedentary lifestyle, such as, for example, not taking care of injuries, because a lot of the joint problems come out of old injuries that did not heal correctly. And so let's just be aware of the importance of taking care of our joints. The next question was also related to the shoulders, which is another joint that can be problematic. And in the days that we are living in, we find a lot of shoulder problems, and these tend to originate from the fact that we are hunching over our tables, our computers, our screens. As I'm doing right now, I'm making an effort to sit upright so as to not hunch myself over the screen as I speak. But it's a habit that we should try to cultivate, because the joint pain comes from spending prolonged period, the shoulder pain, sorry, specifically I'm now speaking about shoulders. So the shoulder pain is often related to spending prolonged periods hunched over. Our shoulders then become rounded, and we also develop some issues in our spine, especially the upper part of our spine. So consult a physiotherapist or a masseuse if you're having shoulder pains. They will recommend for you exercises that will help you to maintain good body posture, especially when you're sitting down or working at a laptop or a computer or a phone. So try to maintain that upright posture so that you do not get into that habit that leads to those shoulder pains. Then the supplements we'll recommend will be omega-3 salmon oil, CalMag, and vitamin A plus D, which, as I said before, helps in the absorption of CalMag. Of course, as you know, we also have vitamin D, which is the vegan D, and this one is the one we can opt for if for certain reasons we do not want to take vitamin A plus D. So for example, if you're a vegetarian and want another option, vegan D is available there for you as well. Then the next question was, I spoke about this, I think it was in the last Q&A, and someone wanted to hear once again what to recommend for type 1 diabetes. So now it is type 1. And the first point I wanted to make was, when you have type 1 diabetes, you need to work with a medical practitioner, because you will need to get insulin, and the insulin needs to be in correct quantities. So make sure that you're under the care of a medical practitioner so they supply you with insulin, because type 2 diabetes tends to originate either from it can be something that you're born with, an issue with which one has got an inherited tendency, or it can be that you have got an autoimmune issue where the cells that are supposed to be producing insulin, they are in the pancreas, which we spoke about in question 2. So these cells can be attacked by our immune system, and they would then not be able to produce insulin in the amount that is normally required. So ensure that you are under the care of a medical doctor to ensure that you get insulin. And also do take care of your diet. Eat healthy, nutritious foods to support the immune system, as well as to regulate blood glucose. Then we also recommend that you minimize sweetened things and junk foods to avoid the blood sugar from going up and down, up and down. So even though you do not have type 2 diabetes, it is still important that you opt for healthier food choices, like minimally processed foods, so that these ones will make sure that your blood sugar remains stable. Because when you take highly sweetened things, or things which are quickly digested and converted into sugar, you tend to have blood sugar spiking up and then dipping down. So the supplements here for the person who wanted this to be repeated will be vitamin A plus D, because this tends to be deficient in people with type 1 diabetes, and especially if they do not get enough sun exposure. So vitamin A plus D will be needed there. We also recommend magnesium complex, which helps in various of the metabolic pathways and include improving insulin sensitivity so that the amount of insulin you get will be effective. We also recommend for people with type 1 diabetes botanical balance, which will help their system to regulate the blood sugar. So A plus D, or if you opt for vegan D, is also an option, and magnesium complex as well as botanical balance. The next question was an inquiry about someone who had had an organ transplant and wanted to know what can help them in their recovery process. So the first, of course, as always, if you have had an important surgery, is that you follow your doctor's instruction so that you get the results that are being hoped for. Also recommended is maintain good hydration, because the kidney is responsible for our water and salt regulation. So make sure that you're well hydrated by drinking plenty of good clean water. And also moderate exercise and a healthy but nutritious diet will also help the recovery process. The supplements we'll recommend in this case will be Beta-Guard to assist the kidney in its function. We'll also recommend vitamin D, multimineral alfalfa, and Formula 4. You can opt for Formula 4 or Formula 4 Plus. Just to remind you, Formula 4 and Formula 4 Plus also contain threonine. So these ones are a mineral multivitamin that contains threonine as well. So you can use those, Beta-Guard, vitamin D or A plus D, multimineral alfalfa, and Formula 4 or Formula 4 Plus. You don't need to take both of the Formula 4s. You can choose one of the two. The next question was about hemorrhoids. And just to say, hemorrhoids are also known as piles. And this one, when it is severe, then it may require surgery, or you may need to see a doctor to give you suppositories just to assist with the issue. So before it reaches that severe stage, do be aware that hemorrhoids are linked to unresolved issues of constipation or diarrhea. So if you tend to have almost chronic constipation that keeps on returning or keeps on occurring, or you tend to have bouts of diarrhea frequently, then it is important that you are aware of this and you do take steps to resolve it. So avoid foods which trigger stomach upsets, and also ensure that you are well hydrated. Water is going to help with the fluid loss that comes from diarrhea. It's also useful in loosening the stool if you are constipated. So ensure that you're well hydrated. And also to be aware that certain medications can cause or worsen constipation. Of course, in addition to that, if we are eating foods that are highly processed, junk foods, almost no fiber in them, and so on, this can be problematic. But if you've got a sensitive gut, then you may find that you struggle to eat certain types of food that contain are going to be very helpful. But at the same time, if you opt for eating vegetables, do cook them fast, because cooked vegetables are easier to digest than salads and other raw vegetables that can be eaten raw. If you have started a medication and you notice that you're now getting bouts of constipation, then do consult your doctor or your whatever medical practitioner, and just make them aware that you started having bouts of constipation, maybe they can use a different alternative. I know that certain types of painkillers can actually worsen constipation or cause constipation in people who don't have it. So by taking care of constipation and diarrhea, we can preempt the issues of hemorrhoids. The supplements that we'll recommend if you are maybe in the earlier stages of the illness will be stage 6, which helps in softening the stools and easing the passing of stools. We also recommend fiber tablets to supplement the fiber in your diet. As I said, if you find it difficult to eat foods that are rich in fiber, you need to start slowly, and you can start with fiber tablets, maybe just one tablet initially, because your system will take time to get used to it. In particular, if you had been avoiding foods that have fiber. We also recommend chelated zinc that helps with the healing of these issues. And we will recommend also aloe vera plus, which is a tonic for the gut that will help. So for hemorrhoids, we recommend stage 6, fiber tablets, chelated zinc, and aloe vera plus. The next question was someone wanted to know what to recommend for trouble with sleep. So here again, sleep, as we know, is very, very important. I think we mentioned it when we are speaking about healthy aging. We need to avoid eating heavy meals 4 hours before going to bed. You can have a snack closer to bedtime, but the main meal should be well before going to bed. Then also keeping our rooms dark or putting on blackout curtains that make sure that our room is dark to facilitate sleeping. Avoid using a screen 2 hours before bedtime, and also maintain regular sleep and wake times so that your system becomes better regulated. Incorporating exercise and an active lifestyle will also help your body to be tired enough so that you can be better prepared for sleep. Sometimes our minds are working very hard, but the rest of our bodies, our muscles, our skeleton are sedentary, and that means that although we are mentally tired, our physical body is not properly tired. So by incorporating movement and exercise, we ensure that the tiredness in our mind is also in our body, and that way we can improve our sleep. The supplements we'll recommend will be magnesium complex, aloe vera plus, and if you have it in your market, herbal rest and rest and relax will also help in improving your sleep, but those will supplement the lifestyle points that you'll be taking on. And then the last question I'll have for today, because as I see the time has run out, will be a question about adult eczema. So eczema is a skin irritation that causes rashes and causes the skin to become oily and a bit scaly. And it can be due to environmental factors, for example, allergens, maybe something that you are using or something in your environment is causing an allergic reaction that is appearing on your skin. But remember that the skin on our bodies is continuous with the skin in our gut. So the factor could be coming from our gut because something that we are eating is causing an allergic reaction on the skin, on the surface of our skin, let's say on our face. And so be aware of foods that affect you. Maybe it's a food that if you eat, you notice that the flare-up of eczema increases. And certain irritants like smoking, tobacco is very irritating to the skin and to the lungs and other parts of our bodies. So such habits should be eliminated if you have them. Eczema can also be due to autoimmune reactions or from stress and also from hormonal changes. So sometimes as you reach the age around menopause for ladies, you may find that the hormonal changes that take place can lead to eczema and other skin issues. So for that reason, just be aware that adult eczema, so this was adult eczema, not the eczema that you observe in adolescents. But I think the points are still valid, whether you are an older person going through menopause or you're a younger person going through puberty. As you can see, puberty is also linked to hormonal changes and upsets. Avoid try to minimize your toxin load by avoiding things that can be irritating or can cause a flare up of the eczema. Then we'll also recommend our Neolife gentle makeup remover, which is, of course, we speak about it when we're speaking about removing makeup, but it's also a very good and very mild cleanser that helps to clean the skin without irritating it. Just to add the point that when the skin is irritated, it tends to do the thing you're trying to heal. So, for example, if you use a very harsh cleanser to clean your skin, then your skin is going to be more inflamed, and the eczema is going to be worse. So use a gentle cleanser, such as gentle makeup remover. And aloe vera gel is also very good for easing the skin issues that come up. So for using on the surface, I recommend gentle makeup remover and aloe vera gel. I also will recommend vitamin A plus D, that is very useful for skin issues. Chelated zinc, also another very useful one for skin issues, and flavonoid complex, which contains some vitamin C and a range of flavonoid phytonutrients. These ones are also excellent for a healthier skin. So you can look at your lifestyle, see what could be aggravating your skin, and then you can also add to that those supplements that I have recommended to you. So I want to thank you very much at this stage for having spent the time and your data to be with us during this training of this evening. I hope that the Q&A has touched on your question, but as you know, the questions are often very many. And if you find that your question was not touched on, then do not worry. We shall be doing another Q&A possibly next week or the week after. And feel free to send new questions, or maybe your question will be in the next Q&A. Thank you very much for spending the time. As we are going on with the month of August, I want to wish you all the best as you go about doing your business, making the world a healthier and wealthier place. So let me now hand you over to Pascal, who is standing by to take you through the next part of tonight's training. Hey, Pascal, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready and waiting. Thank you so much for the session. Now let's talk about